Today I'm going to speak about is the yet another spiritual experience and how I hold a certain title in this religion as well. I am Sikh, uh, born in a Sikh family, and I did not have much knowledge about Hinduism or Christianity or Islam or Buddhism. So, but I did understand a lot of things in Sikhism, and I knew these things very well, or I was told about certain things spiritually about Sikhism, and I knew them very well. So, one of the things I was told and is known in Sikh religion is that when a meditating person who's graduated to the stature of the divine itself because of such meditation, when they when it's their time to depart from this earth, they get their date of death gets announced in this universe. I remember when I was told this, I had asked my dad, but how does the date of death or date gets announced? How does it get told? And then my dad said, in its own way. So it's not just the date which gets announced, it's even the time that gets announced. The date and time of death gets announced when the divine is ready to depart this earth. So some people, through their pure heart and greatness in the mind and soul and body, after meditation, will graduate to this spiritual heavyweight stature of the divine itself, which means that if you ever wanted to meet any god or a spiritual entity of highest of order, and if you would have met this entity, it means you met the divine itself. So there are saints who qualify and go as divines, but the number is not very high, and it's all kept very secret. So divine is such spirituality related information is kept very secret and under wraps for their own safety, and for reasons better, it is not something you make it public. And date of death and time gets announced or gets told to them 2 3 days before. So one day I had gone over the weekend. I was traveling. I had gone for a weekend trip. And this was a phase in my life where I was just doing trekking. I would trek here, I would trek there, I would trek here, I would trek there. And that was mostly my life. I was not listening to any TV or any news. Neither did I, nor was I reading any newspaper. So I had no awareness of what is going on in the TV or on the newspapers. And as we were trekking, I remember after the trek, I was just ready and we were about to go for dinner. And I now blink, I got a vision. And the vision is, the vision starts off with the close up of me looking at APJ Abdul Kalam. He's the India's president who's no more. And when I was in the vision looking at him, he had a very big smile on his face. And as I'm moving away to in the vision, I then see it is his photo I was looking at, which was garlanded with marigold flowers. And then I looked around. I was in an office, which was also a residence of someone in a very big either government position or an administrator's position. And as I'm looking at the photo with the marigold flowers around it, I remember me saying in the vision to myself, when did he die? And then I looked around in the vision, and at that moment, the door opened, and a girl who was possibly 13 years old or maybe 14 years old, could have been 15 also, but that's how much I guessed her age to be. She entered the room in her pajamas and a sweatshirt, and she was holding a mug in her hand. And she had, when you wake up in the morning, you have this, with the saliva, you have this white hair. She had that on her corners of her lips. So I think she had just woken up and not brushed her teeth also, but had a coffee mug in her hand. And then she walked up to the table and she looked at the newspaper on the table. And that is when I also start to look at the newspaper. But as I am looking at the newspaper, everything is blur. Every word is a blur. It's like if something is written in a black ink and then just put a wipe on it so you can either read it and word is not visible to you. That's how the whole newspaper was when I'm looking at it. She could have been reading it, but in the vision, nothing was, could be read by me because it was all blur. And I still kept looking everywhere in the newspaper of finding something. And why was the newspaper blur? And then I saw one word and it said Monday. Only that word was clear and I could read it. Everything else was blur. And I remember saying to myself in the vision, Monday? What is on Monday? And as I'm still wondering what is on Monday, and I'm starting to race with the thought and trying to understand what does a Monday mean, what newspaper, which Monday should I read. I'm thinking all this, and then I heard a click. The girl had left the room. So now I had the urgency as she left the room to look around because I see the vision contracting and me moving out of the vision. And I very quickly looked around down the room and I saw a clock. And as I'm just trying to see what is the time, I'm already out of the vision. This vision got delivered to me in a blink, but it felt very long. So that's how these visions and dreams work. I kept thinking to myself, what did it mean? What Monday? Which newspaper am I supposed to read? And why was everything blur? And what do you do with the simple Monday? Anyhow, so I was waiting for others to get ready, and then we all went for dinner. Saturday went through, then Sunday we had some more trekking to do, and then Monday I got back home. I was very tired, and I remember I just slept through. And at some point, I started getting messages. APJ Abdul Kalam is no more. Or the message is that India's president, this happened, he got a heart attack. It took me a lot of time to understand. He went enlightened to the stature of absolute divine, and his day of death got announced. So, divine has its own ways to deliver, and in his case, it delivered the day of death. He holds the absolute highest divinity stature in the Muslim world. You can read this in my article also, which I have written in Enlightenment. There is something more to this vision and this spiritual experience, where because of that spiritual experience, I hold a title spiritually higher than him. I am the Allah itself. When I say this, I also have fear of how this information will get processed, maybe by some terror groups, and what threat it may have to me. But I can either work with fear, or I can tell the truth and let people know, when you live good life, that is your meditation. And not just live your good life, you also are at work truly. Your work is your meditation. Imagine, just by going to work, you qualify and go as divine. So people should not undermine what work they are doing or quality of their own work. It should never matter you're getting paid, you're getting more or paid less, or how menial job yours is. If you bring your best to the table, unknown to you, you may just spiritually start to ascend, and very, very fast, and to absolute highest position and stature.